Ladies and gentlemen, I am StooDogg. On August the 4th, Alfie Deyes, a YouTuber with over 5 million subscribers, uploaded an interview with the YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki. This interview, coming in at around an hour and 10 minutes in length, at time of me recording this, has been viewed around 300,000 times. It has about 10,000 likes and around 12,000 dislikes. The comment section appears to be heavily moderated, as there are only around 270 comments there. I would have expected there to have been a lot more comments on a video with as many views and a video on such a topic where he's talking to the CEO of YouTube herself. I've taken this video and I have dissected it and found things that I want to reply and respond to, and I've formed this following reaction video in that classic format. I will link the original video down below. There is quite a lot of it that I have essentially removed because I felt was stuff that didn't really matter to me. For example, Alfie Deyes talks about how he's been on YouTube for around 10 years at time of recording this interview. Also quite a lot of parts that I think may have been staged of him randomly bumping into people in the street.
How's it going? You good?
Hello, yeah. Oh my god, I met you like 3 years ago on your first book signing. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, the picture's like
Awesome, nice to see you.
This video is kind of long, so you might want to grab something to nibble on. You might want to grab yourself something to drink. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, shall we begin?
I've tweeted about it, I've Insta-storied about it, I've put it on private Facebook groups with like 200 creators on it.
Private Facebook groups. You advertised your interview on private Facebook groups with 200 creators on them, where basically no one could see them. Well done, lad. I guess that explains what, in my opinion, is a rather low view count for this video.
Today I'm filming with the CEO of YouTube, Susan herself.
Yippee!
I reached out to my YouTube partner manager.
It would seem that this man gets to talk to human beings at YouTube.
And I said, look, I really want to shoot a sit-down, in-depth video with Robert Kintsel or Susan, who's the CEO, Robert's Chief Business Officer.
Also gets to dictate as to who he gets to talk to at the company and dictate as to holding meetings with the higher-ups. Wow.
To chat about everything to do with the platform, because I see so much, not negativity
so much as vagueness. YouTube's communication skills are as clear as mud.
But so many things that creators and viewers would like to be tweaked or changed, or like, what is the answer to this? Why is this happening like this?
I would have been interested to see the information that you've collated on why is this like this, and the things that people say they want to be changed. That would have been an interesting list that I don't think all of that went into your full interview. I think looking back over this in hindsight, better publication, better promotion of the video and your list of questions could have netted more views for this and a lot more eyes on it from the YouTube community.
We've managed to catch Susan while she's in London. I want this video to cover every aspect of every part of the community. So many videos that YouTubers like myself have done with people that are super senior at YouTube get quite a lot of backlash for not covering the right topics. I promise you I've done as much as I can.
Whilst your statement that you've done as much as you can seems a bit debatable, you put a question in a Facebook group that's got a couple hundred people in it. Well, I appreciate your efforts anyway. Well done, lad.
The topics I'm looking to cover are demonetization, harassment, trending page, mental health. One of the most popular questions that I've been asked to ask is about demonetization of LGBTQ+ content.
That does sound like a fairly okay list of topics. I would be curious as to the sort of list that JorgSprave would have put together.
I want to know Susan's opinion on Instagram getting rid of the likes.
Not entirely sure why that would be relevant to YouTube, as Instagram is a completely different platform, completely different setup than YouTube is.
Thoughts on what she would change if she rebuilt YouTube again. We're going to go in as much as I'm allowed to go. I want this to be amazingly beneficial for creators to just get answers to questions that we've all wanted to know, but also YouTube voice and answer the answers to questions that they want the answers to be public. I'm going to do my best.
You know, as much as I find his question gathering skills to be a bit borderline, I do believe that he's got the community's best interests at heart. He probably has done what he views as the right thing and has went about it the best way that he saw possible. I guess he deserves a little bit of applause for that.
First of all, appreciate you coming down.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Well, no, I appreciate you coming down and doing this. I suppose, first of all, number one, for working, creating such an unbelievable platform that makes creators want to be on it for 10 years long. Like, there's not many places that communities that people would want to be involved in for that period of time. So I just wanted to make it clear that to everybody watching that you have seen the questions before, but I want to make sure that this is very casual.
And I think we were open to any question
you
have.
Definitely.
We want to I want to hear from you.
No questions have been rejected, no questions have been tweaked or anything.
We're just going to have to take their word on that one.
Some videos I've seen people like, you obviously didn't ask this for this, and I'm like, nothing like that.
So I didn't spend a huge amount of time preparing for your questions.
For sure. People will like that. People will like
that. But on
that.
the other hand, and part of the reason I didn't is just to be upfront about it, is because in a sense my job is to always be answering questions about YouTube, right?
Sure.
And to know what's on people's minds and to be able to explain what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at the questions just to see, is there something here that I've never seen before?
Yeah. I'm guessing all these questions have been run past other people at Google as well, sort of PR experts and lawyers, to make sure that they don't come out with anything stupid during the interview. They don't show Bethesda levels of incompetence.
And sometimes when I go to a new country, they're asking something that's very specific to the country that is not a global issue, but is super important in that country, and I might not have the full context.
I'm guessing stuff like internet neutrality, Article 13, and the GDPR, for example, things that affect two different parts of the world, would be good examples of questions like these. I still don't even know how Article 13 is going to affect things on the internet moving forward.
But in general, questions about YouTube and how YouTube functions in general and decisions that are global are things that I usually just look at it and I say, I've already talked about it. I've spent a lot of time on it. I've been in reviews about it. I've met with the product people about it. I've met with creators about it. And I can tell you where we are in that process to address that issue. Or also to explain why are people confused about it. Sometimes we have addressed it, but the communication hasn't been clear.
As they say, YouTube's communication is as clear as mud.
Anyway, so please ask me what's on your mind. I want to hear your questions.
No, definitely.
Try to have a really open, honest conversation. Because I think one of the things that we've seen is that YouTube is this, at the scale that we operate it is complex. And so there are a lot of questions and there are a lot of people making their livelihood on YouTube. And they have a lot of questions and we want to make sure we're communicating about what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. We hear from creators that we need to be more transparent and we are working hard to communicate more, doing an interview like this, answering questions on social. We're putting updates now in Creator Studio where our creators go to see their stats.
Sure. Isn't that a novel and genius idea? You are putting your news and updates and information about your platform on a place on your platform where your content creators can see it. Amazing. Not that long ago, everyone had to find out all this stuff through Twitter?
We're trying to be transparent and communicate more.
I definitely think it's working, for sure, because one thing that shocked me is prior to this interview, I told everybody on Twitter, I told everybody on Instagram, I told everybody in a private Facebook group that I have of like 185 creators from the UK.
185 creators from the UK. So his reach base, it wasn't even worldwide, it was only a select handful of people in the UK that he posted the submit questions thing to.
I didn't specifically say film review, I just said an exec at YouTube. There was so many less questions than what I thought. And at first I was like, this is really strange. I don't know why people aren't like coming forward with the questions.
Again, the low view count on the video, I'm thinking you didn't push this as much as you could have or as much as you should have.
And then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe YouTube's already answering them themselves. Proactively putting them in places where creators can see it is actively working, and it must be, because I put it out to a Facebook group with 185 creators and I got 2 questions. So I definitely think that is 100% working for sure, because there was far less noise from me actively putting out saying that I'll be sitting down with somebody. I thought I was going to be bombarded with like, tweak this, fix this, change this, and it was literally the opposite.
You see, I would kind of wonder, what's his usual reach? How many people would he normally reach when he's posting in these groups? How many people actually saw his post compared to the size of the group?
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
We know that we still need to make sure that we're working on communication, and I don't think we're done at all. We are working hard to communicate more, and what we are seeing, for example, we do meetings with creators, and I'm seeing a lot more
Last time we met was here in London.
Just one gripe I have with this man. Stop interrupting her. You have went to your partner manager who has summoned the head of the company to come and talk to you. Let the lady talk. And by the way, when you're going to meet a CEO, please don't just rock up like you've fallen out of a gym or stumbled off of a football course. Bare minimum a suit, dude.
We meet here. It was great to meet with some creators here in London, but YouTube as a whole, we're trying to do a lot more outreach and programs and meeting with creators. And actually, I'm seeing a lot more technical support when we meet with creators. They're not philosophical questions.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times like, I have an account and I had this issue specifically to my account.
Let's just say that YouTube technical support is absolutely abysmal. I've had several problems within the last few months which I've emailed YouTube about, and I don't even think I'm getting through to a human being. I'm getting either automated boilerplate responses, or I'm getting an AI that doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell it. Also, at Team YouTube on Twitter only seems to respond to questions regarding, I've hit the 4,000 hours, 1,000 subscriber threshold, why am I not being monetized? That seems to be the only thing that they respond to. They don't seem to respond to any other kind of general tech help or assistance.
And again, we're trying to make sure we address those too, and we'll continue. YouTube is a dynamic platform, issues change, and we expect that there will be new topics that come up, and we'll always be trying to communicate. But I just want you to know, and your followers to know, we have heard that we need to be doing more to be transparent, and we're working hard to do that.
I definitely
and we
think
still
you
have
are.
work to do.
I think you are. I think you are. I think it's been good.
One of the main problems YouTube seems to have with communication is that it does something absolutely bonkers and then tells everyone that it's doing something absolutely bonkers. E.g., the thing about the silver play buttons and the verification badges that happened recently. That went down like a lead balloon. It went down so well that they ended up reversing part of what they'd said they were going to do by allowing everyone who is already verified to keep their verification rather than losing it like they said in the emails that they'd sent out to people. Kinda starting to think that they've got a dartboard of bad ideas that they just randomly chuck darts at every now and again.
First thing I thought would be good to start on was the 4 core pillars of YouTube: freedom of opportunity, freedom of speech, freedom of information, freedom to belong.
This is new to me. I've never even heard of these before the first time I saw this interview.
Can you explain those to people? Because I don't think many people will know about that. And
Sure.
I've only learned that from being at YouTube Creator Summits.
Okay, so we spent time thinking about what was YouTube's mission, because I think it's really important to be a mission-driven company. At YouTube, our goal is to give everyone a voice and to show them the world. And that's a mission that we spent time thinking about. And in that process of creating that mission, we wound up having these 4 freedoms that came out of all of our discussion. And the freedoms were freedom of information, right? The fact that anybody can watch a video and get information about pretty much anything.
Well, YouTube saved my neck every time I've had to tie a tie.
And YouTube is this incredible library now of
How to fix your dishwasher.
Anything. Fixing your dishwasher, learning math, learning an instrument. And so then the next one was freedom of expression, that we want to enable everyone to have a voice and to be able to communicate what's happening for them. And we've seen YouTube be able to cover so many topics that were never covered before, whether people are talking about their challenges or having a disability or having a disease or having a passion that is shared by a small set of people.
I think that despite its flaws, it would be safe to say that YouTube is a wonder of the modern world. It is an archive of humanity from the worst to the best.
Then we've also talked about the freedom to belong, which is that anyone can find someone like them on the platform. And no matter what your background is, where you came from, like what challenges you have, you can find someone who's like you on YouTube and connect.
Well, I'd certainly agree with that. I have made a few good friends here on YouTube.
And that is really powerful for us and something that we are always trying to celebrate and encourage. And then also the last one is freedom of opportunity, which is that anyone can start a business. And it used to be that, I mean, you started your website 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so this story that people a lot of times will share, which is that I wanted to have a media company, or I wanted to be in media and entertainment, and I tried and I went about a number of traditional routes and it didn't work out, and I tried YouTube. I was able to have an audience.
That's something that I think isn't really focused on much, is that YouTube is a platform that is free for you to upload virtually anything to, and you can just start making stuff even just like through a phone camera, and you can upload your content for free to YouTube where it can be stored for free. And I don't think that that is appreciated a lot by the people who upload, but at the end of the day, you're getting a free service, which is actually rather good.
I look at creators and I talk about creators as next generation media companies. Now, sometimes these freedoms come in conflict.
The number one most popular question that I got to ask touches a little bit on that.
Sure.
Is the amount of LGBTQ plus content that is instantly demonetized on YouTube, any content that's based on sexuality or sex, and how that doesn't contradict with the freedom of expression.
We do not automatically demonetize LGBTQ content.
Because I've heard rumors like, have the word lesbian in your tags or your thumbnail or your title, instant flag.
We work incredibly hard to make sure that our systems are fair. We have a ML fairness initiative. ML stands for machine learning, to make sure that our algorithms and the way that our machines work are fair. There is no policy, of course, because we want to have all different voices representing all different points of view on our system, and we want them on our platform. And the LGBTQ community has been an incredibly important part of YouTube. Sure. We have so many creators who have come from that community and are really proud that we have been able to assist so many youth who otherwise might have felt more isolated, to be able to have a better understanding and connection to the LGBTQ communities. So very early in YouTube's life, we had a It Gets Better campaign. That was a very significant campaign.
I'm not familiar with this campaign at all.
that was addressing LGBTQ youth and suicide, and it was a large number of people on YouTube who came out and said life gets better and created videos. And right now we actually see that we have a lot of coming out videos on YouTube, and we've been really proud of that. And so we want to support the LGBTQ community. There's no policies that say if you put certain words in the title that will be demonetized. We work incredibly hard to make sure that when our machines learn something, because a lot of our decisions are made algorithmically, that our machines are fair. And we have a whole committee and a whole process to make sure that we are managing fairness of how our algorithms work.
There's no like flag words from specifically that community that is like more likely to be demonetized.
There shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be. Okay.
No.
I do view this one with quite the shade of grey, especially following the research that was done by CELO and YouTube Analyzed, where they were finding that when they were uploading videos and titling them with things like the LGBTQ Guide to Venice, the videos were being demonetized, but when they removed the LGBTQ abbreviation and replaced it with things like Happy Guide to Venice, the videos were then being monetized. There have also been murmurings that YouTube outsources a great deal of its human moderation of things. So if such a video had been moderated by a team somewhere where homosexuality is frowned upon, or may even be illegal, with such punishments as people found to be homosexual would be crushed underneath a brick wall. If the moderation was done there, then any appeals would be denied by the person moderating due to their beliefs and where they are and where they come from.
That's the number one question, piece of feedback that I got from creators and viewers from Twitter and stuff like that, was a lot of the LGBT content just getting demonetized and people wanting to know why and how, but there is nothing that's...
I mean, I want to be sensitive to people who have those concerns, and we always enable people to appeal any kind of demonetization decision. And so again, it always comes down to the specific video and what was in the video and what happened in the video, and I want to be sensitive to people who are saying like those were experiences that they had. But we always offer an appeal process. We always look back and understand, and we're always trying to make sure that whatever false positives we had are reviewed.
This is something that I'm not 100% sure on, because I've heard people say that they've had videos removed for what they view to be unfair reasons, and they were unable to appeal. The appeal button was effectively grayed out, and they were unable to do anything about their video being removed.
So basically what we do is, when the more we can identify the content that is truly violative of our community guidelines and consistent with our community guidelines, and we can be really clear about that, the better and better our algorithms become and more precisely become. And we keep updating our numbers in terms of how much better we've become in this area. And again, I'm not saying like we still don't have room to grow and ways to be better, but we do work really hard to see if our systems have made a mistake, and if they have, then we work to retrain it. Anyone who's asking that, it's important that they are appealing.
I generally say appeal everything. YouTube's rules are so vague. Their goalposts move so much and so often that it's literally impossible to tell whether you've done something that violates or not. So you have to appeal everything.
But we have looked into it, and there is no policy against it. In fact, we have done the opposite, which is that we have explicitly created systems and people and processes to look in to make sure our systems are fair.
I thought that was the case in terms of, recently I had a video that got nearly demonetized, and there was 6 physical staff from YouTube reviewed it. That's what I got told. And I was like, that's awesome. YouTube should be shouting about that. That 6 manual people reviewed the video to see whether it should get monetized or not. And it was monetized, which is good.
I'm honestly not sure what he's on about when he says that his video nearly got demonetized. I mean, it either was or it wasn't. I don't know how, unless they tell him, like, hey, we're going to demonetize your video unless or if or whatever. And then the 6 people reviewing it, I don't know where he's getting this info or how he's getting this info. It's certainly not something that I've encountered before.
But I think that's awesome that there's real humans reviewing content after mechanic decisions.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, there are lots of humans.
There are sometimes humans, depending on who you are, I suppose. In my experience, I've found it's very difficult to get a hold of a human at YouTube. I mean, I think most of the emails they've sent me have just been auto-generated by some kind of crazy AI.
Yeah, we have, so Google has over 10,000 people who review content. But yes, basically like our process works that we have humans that we make the policies, we identify content that are examples of content that meets the policies.
A novel idea would be to share those policies with your creators on the platform rather than keeping them hidden so no one knows what is or what is not against YouTube's policies, which they seem to be enforced with just randomness.
Or content that doesn't meet the policies, then we use machines to extend that and to go on our platform and to find examples of that. And then we use humans to be able to validate those decisions. So everything is really a combination of both humans and machines.
Like the Borg.
Resistance is futile.
You're a robot.
To be able to operate at scale, but also to be able to get it right.
Often I find a lot of content on YouTube in terms of like anything that involves drugs or parkour, like free running, like gymnastics on buildings.
He brings up parkour and gymnastics from buildings quite a few times. I mean, judging from the way he's dressed, I think maybe he's big into his like street running. That's maybe how he got there. Jokes. Lol.
Gets demonetized. However, film trailers, music videos all have that content in. So quite a few of my friends have parkour YouTube channels and things like that. The entirety of their channel's been wiped of AdSense for encouraging dangerous behavior. But then you watch a music video from an artist, that couldn't be further from what, like, even more exaggerated what my friend's doing, but that is monetized. So I was just wondering what the rule is for situations like that.
So a while back I was watching a music video by Rihanna, and it was just a standard music video fare, and then suddenly randomly boobs happened, like bare breasts. So, you know, because this is a music video by a big artist with millions of fans worldwide, would that be on some kind of like specialized ad level that it can net revenue even though it's got boobs in it, even though it was kinda like dramatized gory violence in it as well?
So first of all, we come up with a set of policies for monetization, and those monetization policies, just to be clear, are different than what we have in terms of what's enabled on the platform. So we have community guidelines, and those community guidelines talk about, like, we don't enable incitement to violence or hate or adult content, right? And then we have I'll say a higher standard for monetization. Big part of that has to do with what advertisers want to have on their platform too. So I think it's really important to remember that there's a broad range of advertisers with a broad range of desires. And so we have some advertisers who say, like, we would like to be on as many videos as possible that are appropriate. And there'll be a set of content that we all agree will not be appropriate for advertising. But for the most part, that's a small amount. We try to we give advertisers who want it the broadest set of videos. And then we have some advertisers that say, I'm so particular about my brand. I'm so careful and I only want to appear on certain types of content. And they say, I will actually go through and I will actually hand pick the videos or hand pick the channels that I want to show up on. And so that's the broad range that we are handling. And a lot of times when we're looking at videos and we're looking at what makes sense for monetization, a lot of times it's a reflection of what advertisers want to appear on. And we're looking at that artistic component of what makes sense. And so if you look at a video and it's done by a music artist who has a song that's like one of the top songs, that will be taken into consideration from an advertiser standpoint.
Sure.
Like the Rihanna one with the boobs.
And something that some set of advertisers will want to show up on. And so basically we look at that artistic component to try to understand what makes sense for advertisers.
Is there like a group of advertisers that you could pull together that's like, we're up for risky content, that could monetize videos with loads of swearing, that could monetize promoting dangerous activities like jumping off buildings and stuff, do you know what I mean? There must be a group of like Red Bull or somebody that's like, we like that.
So recently the YouTube channel Creator Insider, which is run by YouTube staff, released a video called More Dollars on Yellow Dollar Videos, where they stated that they were trying to, for example, get movie makers who had like R-rated, which I presume is the American, like 18 plus, R-rated movie makers with sort of like the R-rated trailers to appear next to sort of edgier content, stuff that had been demonetized, stuff with the yellow dollar sign icon next to it. Edgy advertisers for edgy content creators sort of thing.
That's a question. I have gotten that before from advertisers saying, hey, like we do kind of edgy content. Why can't we have more edgy advertisers? Like there must be a lot out there. And the reality is it's a lot of times the users who are interested in that content are hard to reach anywhere else. Meaning that they have, a lot of these contents attract very valuable audiences. We have been working on trying to do that matchmaking and making sure that we can bring advertisers to the right set of content. So for example, like I'll give a set of advertiser content that doesn't make sense always to show up on all types of content, which is a lot of times film or horror movie, right? Like a horror film advertisement, we also need to be careful where that shows up because there'll be a set of users that it could be scary for them to see, right?
As my old joke goes, little Timmy plays Minecraft, this bud's for you. Happiness. It's a cigar named Hamlet.
But whereas appearing on like a more edgy content could make more sense. So that would be an example of the kind of matchmaking that we're thinking about how to do. I've also heard this concern that YouTube does not enable edgy creators to be successful, and we want to enable, it's hard for us to generate revenue on the platform, and why have you made those decisions?
Somewhat disagree. Whilst a lot of these edgier people along the lines of Jim Sterling or Mr. Obvious find it difficult to make money using actual YouTube itself, they find that they're able to make an audience which they're then able to monetize using other platforms such as Patreon.
Right, so we hear that, and that's why we're trying to find a set of advertisers that would be comfortable with it and bringing them and matching them with content. And I think if we can do that, that's valuable for the advertisers too, because it's content that otherwise, they could be more unique on that content.
If your video is demonetized, does it affect your view count? If my video, say for example, was a parkour video, and therefore it wasn't monetized, would it be pushed? There is this like sense in the community that if your video gets demonetized, YouTube don't push it as much because they're not earning from it. So would I appear on trending? Would I get in recommended? Would I be placed well in the algorithm if I'm creating those style of videos that aren't advertiser friendly, but are still good for society because it doesn't benefit YouTube to be promoting it because you're not earning and I'm not earning?
No.
So the answer to this one would appear that there are two separate systems that are unrelated to each other, one of which takes away monetization for edgy stuff, and the other of which is a form of restriction of audience, so it's not showing stuff to younger viewers. It's sort of aiming your content at audiences that it's tracked don't mind watching things with like swearing and that in it.
And I have heard this question before. Yeah. In fact, there was PewDiePie talked about it in one of his videos, and I commented.
So it would seem that the CEO of YouTube actually watches her own platform and comments on things when she's watching. That's interesting to know.
Did you?
Yeah, on that video, because it's a really important question, and I think there's a lot of confusion in the ecosystem about this. And we actually have a creator insider video. So YouTube, to try to communicate more and try to be more transparent, we created this channel called Creator Insider, where we have people who work on YouTube and build our products talk about how
I've seen the channel.
Yeah, so Creator Insider also has a video about this. Just to be really clear, the systems and the people who create our monetization solutions are completely separate from the people and systems who create our recommendation systems. Like, they actually sit in different locations. They report into different people. And since the very beginning, YouTube and Google have been really clear about having separation between monetization and promotion, and always being clear about what is promoted, what's not promoted. You know, this is an ad, like this is sponsored, etc. Because we've always been focused on making sure we have a good user experience, right? And to have a good user experience, you need to only focus on the user, and you only focus on what the user is doing.
Spying on you and tracking you much, no?
Not necessarily on revenue metrics. So we have a completely separate team that just does revenue metrics and another team that just does users. Let's say you do something that in the video that is controversial or considered content that should be age gated. Okay, like it has inappropriate for minors. There could be many reasons why content is inappropriate for minors. So you do something like that. These two systems that are built in different buildings will both pick that up.
So if both the systems picked this up, the monetization system picked it up, and the suppression of views system picked it up, you would see a demonetization and a drop in views at the same time. I'm curious as to whether the appealing the monetization also appeals the suppression process, as well as JorgSprave had shown that a demonetized video had a drop in views, which he appealed, and then the drop in views returned to its normal level.
That there is something in this video that is not appropriate for advertisers, and is not.
I think one of my recent videos got that. My friend spoke about how he used to be an alcoholic for like a year, instant like demonetization, everything.
So I haven't seen that actual video, but it's very possible.
But that fits.
But that would be an example
for sure.
Right. That would be an example of like being a context always matters. But if you're talking about being an alcoholic, it's possible that that's something that, depending upon what details he went into or what was covered, it's possible that that could be seen as something appropriate for an older audience. Very possible that our ad system said this isn't something advertisers want to appear on, and so the same content, our systems both of that would pick that up, and as a result would probably make independent decisions. And so you might look at the video and say, hey, these two are related, but they're not related because our recommendation system said there's been a monetization decision. They're only related because both of our systems picked up the same criteria and the content and made independent decisions about how to promote and how to monetize.
So you could be demonetized and pushed hard by YouTube even though it's demonetized.
Or vice versa, e.g. the Rihanna video with the boobs probably doesn't get pushed out hard to all audiences, but it's probably monetized.
It's possible. I mean, again, a lot of times if there is content that's sensitive, we may make decisions. But I mean, if you turn off monetization and turn it back on, or turn it off, turn it on, like, you shouldn't be seeing changes in how our system is recommending you.
I want to talk about creator and creator harassment, because there's a big new policy coming out soon.
Yes.
I'd love to know when it's coming out.
I'd also love to know when this is coming out.
And also what it actually means in terms of what can and what a creator can't do, and what counts as harassing another creator.
Indeed, I would love to have a lot more information about this plan than what we actually have at the moment, which in all honesty isn't much.
And
Yes.
what would happen if you got found harassing another creator
Yes.
in a video?
Yes. Okay, these are great questions, and I would like to know the answers to all of them too.
Lol.
I can tell you that we're working on it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what that means.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, so when I meet with creators, I have heard a lot this issue, right? Like there's a creator who consistently says inappropriate comments about me, or has made a video about me that's inappropriate. So I've heard this issue in many different ways. We've seen some high profile examples that we know have been problematic, and that has caused us to take a really hard look at our harassment policy. And so let me tell you what that means. So we say, here's a policy, a lot of people are complaining about it, or there's a lot of issues, or we ourselves identified this is an issue. I mean, it can come multiple ways that we identify something needs review. Usually the way we kick off that process is we say, let's go talk to a number of experts in the area.
I'd be curious to know who these experts are.
A number of creators who feel that they have been harassed in this area.
I'd also be curious to know which creators YouTube would reach out to talk to about such things.
And we try to understand exactly what the issue is. And we look at a number of videos and we try to say, like, does that feel right? Does that feel wrong? And then from that, and based on a lot of this expert advice, we try to figure out, can we crystallize this into a description and a set of policies that can be enforced consistently?
And presumably effectively communicated to the creators on the platform.
Now, before I told you that that Google has 10,000 people around the globe doing content moderation. And so we need to make sure that when we come up with a new policy on harassment, that the policy is clear and can be enforced. So we will, after meeting with all these experts, we'll try to define exactly what this new policy looks like. And then we will go to our reviewers and train them on this new policy and see if we give them 100 different videos, are they going to be able to make consistent decisions? Okay, so we would like our consistency to be in the high 90s, which means that for any video that we have, when our reviewers see it, that we,
Is that
90
robots or humans?
Human. That the humans are consistently making the same decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, and in order to do that, that policy, we have to train people, but the policy also has to be clear, has to be defendable. Now, harassment is a really hard area. It's an emotional area. Right now, we're in the process of talking with different experts and hearing their feedback and hearing about what changes they would like to make, right? And what changes they think are necessary for the platform. And it is a challenge because we do see, when we look at content, like you can look at music, for example, you were talking about music before, and we can see that there's a lot of content in there that could have racial slurs, right? That could be seen as sexist, right? And so again, like you could see that in humor in a variety of different situations. And so what we see is that context is incredibly important. Like, what was the context of the video? What was the point of the video? Was the point of the video to harass someone, or was it a 1 hour video in which someone was trying to be funny, in which they made a number of different comments to different people that could be seen as harassing?
The thing is, offense is not given, offense is taken. So some people just go out of their way to how can the internet offend me today, and just randomly report and false flag things which are actually okay, but this person just decided to feel offended by it. Or they're false flagging not necessarily because they feel offended by something, but because they feel offended by a person who is posting things on the platform.
And so these are the types of issues that we need to be able to tease out. We see that there's a lot of nuance because, like, there also could, I'm just saying, we could get it wrong, okay? And we could come up with a policy, and that policy could mean that a large amount of videos are now in violation. There are a large amount of songs.
Goodbye, diss tracks. Goodbye.
A large amount of humor videos.
Bye-bye, fair use parodies. Bye-bye.
And people would say, hey, like, all these songs are in violation, and there would be a lot of content that we'd be removing that potentially could be valuable on the platform. And so, again, we don't want to have creator-on-creator harassment, but we also need to be able to define the policy in a careful way such that we are enabling a lot of the free expression and a lot of the content that we think is defining for culture, but also being sensitive to the issues on creator harassment.
It would be a poor show if this started to affect just genuine criticism of things or reviews on things which may not be good reviews. For example, you need to have bad reviews. You can't just say everything is brilliant, everything is awesome, and everything is cool when you're part of the team. There has to be fair and unbiased critique and reviews of things, as well as positive reviews, so that people can get all the sides of the coin and get to the truth by having a look at all the sources.
I think the answer to you is like, I still don't know the answers to the questions you said, and it's because we are in the process of defining exactly what that is.
Because I've been told like this side of the year kind of thing that it's going to be happening. There will be new harassment laws.
That is YouTube rules and terms of service guidelines, not laws. Guidelines. Rules.
Where videos of a creator bashing another creator will not be acceptable on the platform anymore. Because the people's like whole channels are just built now tearing each other down, and it benefits the person creating the video because they're earning a ton of money.
Strongly disagree. Commentary community videos are very often demonetized.
And it just makes me think, what platform do I want to be part of that is actively promoting a creator hating another creator to benefit themselves, not because they hate even the creator.
I understand. Our goal is to enable our content creators to create valuable content that's beneficial for society, not to be creating a content and getting their views by criticizing someone else, right? And trying to take them down in some way, and taking someone who is a celebrity and having their whole content and channel dedicated to criticizing that celebrity. So we understand that there are these motives here that are not good for the ecosystem, they're not good for creators overall, and it's not behavior that we want to encourage. So we understand that. But again, the question is like, how would we define that in a way that's precise, that we can make sure that we can enforce it? And like, we will talk to creators who are concerned. We've heard this from creators and we're taking it very seriously, but we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that has longevity. The worst thing would be to come out with a rule, have that rule be so broad that then everybody is pointing about it. We're not enforcing it consistently, and people feel like our policies have no teeth behind them.
I feel the worst thing that you can do is what you're doing right now, which is being almost entirely silent about this policy. There hasn't been much being tweeted out by Team YouTube on Twitter. There hasn't been much being said by Creator Insider. There hasn't been much being said by YouTube itself about how it's going around these policy changes. And then one day, you're just going to go, here's our new rules, and then you'll send some automated email out to everyone saying something along the lines of, you're being terminated because of a new rule that we've thought up. Something that's going to go down like a lead balloon, much in the same way the removal of the verification thing went. There's going to be some kind of something bloody stupid is going to happen before the end of the year. It's like watching a car crash. You know it's going to end up mangled and you know people are going to get hurt, but you just can't take your eyes away from it.
Right? So we need to come out with a policy that we know is clearly is enforceable, understandable, and that we can take action on. And so again, we don't just roll stuff out. We do test it. We talk to experts and then we test it.
I feel that your statement there about testing does not bode well. I have the feeling that some kind of rogue AI is about to be unleashed across the platform, tearing down everything in its wake.
I think it's really important to get that right, because I understand the harassment issue, and I understand that that is really a dark and difficult part if that's happening to a creator, and it's not something that we want to encourage. But the policy has to be written in such a way that creators can comment on each other and criticize each other.
100%.
Right. And so the question is, how do you draw the difference between creators criticizing each other and being part of this free speech and open ideas, and then like where do you draw that line? Where do they cross the line that it's no longer just about ideas, but they're criticizing them as a person, criticizing, or their channel is based upon that. And so we need to really tease that out in a clear and consistent way. And that's what we're in the process of doing. I think we'll have a policy this year, meaning 2019.
Because I think it's just such a clash of freedom of expression, but then freedom to belong. Like, I know so many people that have had so many negative videos made about them.
My statement to you, Alfie, would be, have you taken action on that? Have you spoken to your partner, manager, humans that you can talk to at YouTube to help these people, to help, I presume it's your friends you're talking about, to have their negative videos about them removed if they were seen to be violating some form of terms of service? Or is it just that the videos are legitimate criticism, but your friends just need to toughen up a little bit? Your friends just need to have a bit of a thicker skin? It's the internet. There's this negativity happens. It's not all smiles and roses.
If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. It's wondrous, with treasures to satiate desires both subtle and gross. But it's not for the timid.
That they don't feel like they belong.
Right.
And I'm like,
well, I've had this
that's not the goal of
too.
YouTube, but then the other person should have the freedom of expression.
Sure.
And I'd love for YouTube to say either, no, freedom of expression trumps it, so you can say that about other creators, or as a platform we don't agree with that.
YouTube's own policy says that it's not okay to post abusive videos and comments on YouTube. If harassment crosses the line into a malicious attack, it can be reported and may be removed. In other cases, users may be mildly annoying or petty, and should be ignored. Would you like to know more?
Freedom to belong is more important to us in these scenarios. You can't do that. But because there is no answer, people are literally like printing money at the moment.
Literally printing money. I think your statement is absolutely ludicrous and unfounded. As I've stated before, the commentary community's videos are very often demonetized, either due to language, or due to content, or due to third-party copyright strikes. Well, not strikes, but third-party copyright claims due to music used, or film clips used.
And YouTube is rewarding it by hating people, or just making factually not even correct, like things that if a newspaper said it about somebody, they'd be sued within like 10 minutes.
That's another very outlandish statement you've come out with there. People on YouTube get sued. Just because you're uploading something to YouTube doesn't shield you from the laws of the land. YouTube has defamation complaint procedures to follow, as well as all its copyright and trademark infringing procedures and things as well.
But because there is no laws around it,
rules and guidelines, there are laws, and if someone feels that they are being legally attacked in some way, shape or form on YouTube, they can either get a lawyer involved and sue, or if it's an extreme thing, call their local law enforcement agency.
it's literally like the Wild West.
Strongly disagree. Lol.
Plus you're just making money.
RIP monetization. I think this guy's going to be the face of the next adpocalypse.
We do have a harassment policy today, but where we've drawn that line for me is not high enough. And I think we all acknowledge that. So to be clear, we do have a harassment policy. We actually have something called the transparency report, where we publish the number of videos that we remove every quarter.
In having a glance over what's available to me on the transparency report, it shows that whilst almost 70,000 reports of defamation or insults were made, there were only 15,000 removals across YouTube. That's, in the grand scheme of things, not really that much.
And how many of them are removed for different reasons, whether it's hate or harassment or spam or adult content. Like, so we do publish those numbers and we do remove videos for harassment, but I am agreeing with you that the line is not drawn right now in the right place. And that's why we are looking to redraw it. But we want to draw it carefully, not come out like rush with a policy, have that be unenforceable, and then have everybody angry because...
Have everyone angry, yep. That would be standard YouTube fare.
No one's sure anymore what's allowed. And so it is important to draw it correctly. And I've seen videos that I know that are on our platform that I know will no longer be allowed on the platform anymore. There are definitely videos like that I see as examples of content that is really solely dedicated to harassing a creator and to me cross the line. But I want to make sure that we're working with the experts and that we understand and we're hearing from creators and we look at all the different use cases and that we address that. And it's a very serious issue. And I understand how upsetting it is for creators. I understand how difficult it is. And we also see that there are groups that a lot of times are underrepresented in our society and they may be subject to more of this harassment. And that's not our intent, right? We talked about the freedom to belong, that we want people, no matter what their background is, to be able to feel that they're connecting. And if they're feeling like they're coming on the platform and then they're being harassed, then that's the opposite of what we want. So we understand that, but again, we just want to be careful on how we draw those policies, and we draw it in a careful, thought out way.
This year.
Set popcorn to stun.
On a similar kind of note, next question. Family channels that feature their children getting their comments removed because of people looking at the content, timestamping in the comments, using the comment section to look at children in appropriate ways, and therefore YouTube taking all of the comment section out of some family content creators' channels, in my eyes, doesn't really solve the issue. That's taking away the whole community of the channel, when really it's just a couple of people that should be kicked off the platform.
So I can tell you the history of this and why we came to the decision that we did, which we didn't come to lightly. And so, first of all, protecting children and child safety is probably like the most important thing that we do.
For sure.
And we need to make sure that we are always doing whatever we can to protect children.
I strongly agree with this. YouTube should be doing its best to protect kids on the platform. However, I do also think that in the material that YouTube produces for its creator academies, it should also be encouraging parents to be taking care of children and looking after children and monitoring them when they're uploading stuff to YouTube. And just the best way to keep kids safe is to ensure that they upload content that is suitable for the platform. Don't just leave a kid unattended with a mobile phone and let them randomly upload just stuff.
And that is both children's as viewers. YouTube is a 13+ product, and we have YouTube Kids, and making sure children are safe on our platform. And so what we saw, just to recap for people who missed it, was we saw that there had been videos that were innocently uploaded, like girls doing gymnastics or...
Just a brief warning, this gets kind of gross.
Swimming, and that there were a number of people that had timestamp certain parts of the video or creating playlists and putting these videos together, and that consumption in the way that they were consuming that content was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, so we took that incredibly seriously. We made very significant changes to be able to address that. And we did turn off comments for a number of channels that involve or that feature young minors or feature older minors in potentially more risky behavior, like swimming or gymnastics or dancing, right? So types of behavior that would invite more of that type of comments or issues. We spent a long time talking about it, and the reality is, like, I mean, I think you're right that we did limit the freedom of expression and some of the freedom to belong for those channels.
And all of their community, there are millions of people wanting
yes,
to
yes.
feedback and chat and communicate.
Yes, no, I understand. And that was like, we did that with a lot of reluctance. And it wasn't an easy decision, but on the other hand, we need to make sure we're always protecting kids. We realized that when we had this choice between child safety and freedom of expression and freedom belong, that we had to put child safety at the highest level. Even if that meant that videos involving kids do not have the same freedom of expression in them. And that was a difficult decision, but you know, if we look at kids, like, your job is to protect them and to keep them safe. As parents and adults and as a platform, that's what we need to do.
It's also something that a lot of parents need to realise throughout this whole thing. Parents are not saying, this is a good thing, my children are safer. They're saying, this is a bad thing, I'm not making as much money. It's a poor state of affairs when you need to have someone point out to you that one of those statements is a good statement and the other one is a bad statement.
It's important to remember that if we were to reverse that policy right now, as hard as it is for creators, and I understand that, like, how could we defend that if it was pointed out again that there was another child safety issue, like, right? And so we always need to make sure that child safety is our top priority. And so we are working hard that we can better identify which videos have children and which ones don't, and be able to do that at the video level and do that consistently and to do that with high accuracy. But it's not something we can roll out and say, hey, that was like partially, you know, that was like 80% accurate or 90% accurate. We need to make sure that it's really, really accurate and that we're doing it in the right way. And so I mean, I sympathize with the channels, and it wasn't a decision that we took lightly. And I'm hopeful again that we can make that decision at the video level as opposed to the channel level. But to be fair, we're not there yet. I'm hopeful that we can be.
Do you think it'll get to a point where the comments are all back on? Or do you think this is just a new version of how YouTube's gonna run now, is if you feature young children doing gymnastics, there is just no comments on the video?
I think it's going to be that if you have videos of young children doing there will not be comments. We could decide it at the video level, not the channel level, which means, so like let's say I'm a family vlogger, I have some videos that involve my children. Those are ones I want to be very careful with the comments, but maybe there's one of just me and my spouse and we're talking about something involving parenting that doesn't have young children in it. That's a way that potentially we could enable comments to be on those videos, right? And that way the channel can still get feedback, but it's not about specific children in the video. So again, we're still working on that, and some of our decisions today work at the video level as opposed to the channel level.
Is it something you could add into when I upload a video on my channel, I've got the feature at the moment where I have to tick the boxes of yes, I have got this, no, I have not sworn in the video, yes, there is a brand deal in the video, or no, there isn't, and therefore...
The self-certification.
For sure.
So
could it be added into that, of like, have you got young minors in the video, yes or no?
Right, so you're referring to a program we have this self-certification,
which is the best thing YouTube have done.
I'm so glad. So that's a program where we enable creators to tell us what's in the video, and then we say we trust what you tell us is in the video, and then we make the right monetization decisions as a result.
Having had no experience with this system myself, I've called my friend Hakemon Mike, who does have experience with this system.
Yes, self-certification. It's one of those things for YouTube where being able to certify your own content is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because YouTube employees, there's just not enough of them to be able to certify every content out there. So it's a blessing because it allows us to self-certify our content for what it is without slowing us down due to the amount of backlog that there would be for YouTubers. The bad side of it, though, is the fact that well, there's some dishonest YouTubers out there, and this is why we can't have nice things. However, there's way more honest YouTubers than there are dishonest YouTubers. So I feel that balance is what makes self-certification such a really good thing.
And so yes, potentially we could do something like that as well for family creators, where they tell us, like, are there these types of situations in your video? And if so, then...
And I'm sure they would love that, because it's only going to benefit them by looking after their children.
Yeah,
I think it just created a lot of confusion, and people are still confused now.
It did, and it was hard, and a lot of... I mean, we know that community is really important. It's really, really important to channels, and we know that those channels don't have a ability for them to communicate with their fans. And so, again, we're working on it, and we know it's a problem. We know that it is a serious issue for creators, family creators, and any channel that has children in it. But on the other hand, if we make a change, we need to know that that change is 100% safe for children. And so that's the bar that we will use.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that this change with the comments is more down to a smaller minority of people, an unhealthy child predator community which has started up, which really needs to be pushed out of the platform. But I think that with the community of the channel aspect can be rebuilt and maintained on other platforms such as Facebook or Twitter or Reddit. And on these platforms it would have the actual the team that runs such a channel behind it as moderators, so they would be able to block any unwanted elements from these communities on other platforms that might be better suited to hold such a community for the channels in question.
I also get people who ask me the question, like, why didn't you turn off comments sooner? Why don't you turn off comments for everybody? And so I say, no, that would not be a good idea. So again, we're trying to find a way to make comments be, make sure that we can enable it for community and do so in a way that we're also keeping people safe.
One thing I wanted to ask about, what's your opinion on Instagram taking away the likes?
I don't care.
You can see it yourself still, but nobody else can see.
I think it's interesting, and one of the things I know from having developed online product for so long is that decisions are not always intuitive. So I think it's an interesting idea to understand better, like what are the implications when you do something like that. At YouTube, we actually have like and dislike.
That's one of my other questions.
Yeah. So on community tab, for example, we don't show the dislike number.
Yeah.
And so I think there are many different ways to be able to understand the role those two ways of users giving feedback makes sense for our platform overall. So I saw that like what Instagram did was they rolled it out in one country and they tested it and then they rolled it out to more countries.
Yeah.
And so that generally means they must have seen signs that this was positive for the ecosystem. But I guess I would ask you, I mean, as a creator, how would you feel that your likes are not public? Like, would you feel better about this? Would you like it that you see the likes but not the dislikes? Like, I mean, what would you like to see?
Just you leave my likes and dislikes the way they are, thank you very much. I would prefer to see these analytics so that I know if people are liking or disliking my stuff. Simples.
In terms of Instagram, I think for me, I think it's going to be super interesting. Like, I'm really excited. I want them to enroll that because I can't even imagine being 13 and in school and having to get more or less likes than other friends, or some super popular kid in the class likes your picture and then you're like, oh, now it's public, everyone can see that. Why have they like that? Are they taking the mick out of me? I don't think likes being visible has any positivity. Yeah, I don't.
How about
really...
the dislikes?
Literally, one of the other questions got written down is, what is the point of the dislike? I don't see any positive effect of having a dislike, unless it's a metric that you genuinely track and you honestly believe that when somebody presses dislike, it's because they don't actually enjoy the video, which I personally don't think anybody has ever used that button before. It's more of like as soon as a creator uploads a video, dislike, go back off. Nobody, unless I'm wrong, maybe from your looking into the data, I can't imagine people properly watching a creator that they like and going, didn't actually like this video too much of you, but I'll still watch your next one. Dislike to show I didn't like that piece of content. Is there a purpose for the dislike button? Is it actually useful for YouTube?
Mate, I love the dislike indicator. To me, it shows that, like, I've annoyed someone enough to make them click the dislike button. I love it. What's not to love about that? Or maybe that's just me. I know some people who like post on Facebook groups, they're just like, oh my god, I just got one dislike. Oh my god, how do you guys deal with these haters? Like, I view it the total opposite way. I think a dislike is better than a like, but maybe that's just because I'm an absolute and utter weirdo. So yeah, that's me. If you made it this far into the video, hit the dislike button and leave a comment down below saying, hey, I reached the bit where you told me to dislike. So I clicked it and I left this comment saying that I dislike.
And what are the benefits of having it?
I think it started out because we wanted people to give us feedback on the videos, right? And we wanted people to tell us what they liked and what they didn't like. But I think you're right that there can be a lot of abuse with it. And I think there are ways to potentially, rethink some of that.
Scuttlebutt has it that the dislike button literally does not have a function at all. It only counts as an engagement in the same way that a like does. So a dislike is actually good for a video that has been disliked. It's exactly the same as a like.
And so I don't want to commit here what we're going to do because I like to be very thoughtful about our plans going forward. But I think it's definitely something that we're going to spend time looking at and understanding what role do these two signals play and what makes sense for us to highlight or not highlight. And again, like on community tab, we show the like number, but not the dislike number.
Is there a dislike to press, but you just can't see it?
There is. Yeah, and we know it, but we don't share it.
Do I see it myself if I were to look again?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. As a creator, you don't see it.
Wow.
Well, that actually sounds pointless, having a dislike button but no indicator to show to the actual person who made the post or the comment that it's being disliked. In what way is YouTube using that information?
So, I mean, I'm just saying there are many models, and actually, before we were talking about harassment, there are also product changes that you can make that will be impactful for people in terms of how we think about harassment and how we think about what discourages people from being on the platform, what discourages them from having a channel and sharing their point of view, and we want to be sensitive to that. So, I just want you to know I have been thinking about that, but I don't have any feature change to report at this time.
Maybe soon though.
Maybe we would. I think what you would hear first...
There's no benefit from having it.
Well, I think what you would hear first... I think there is some benefit. People like to know, like so many people like my video.
I'm talking about the dislike button.
I mean, people like to dislike our last rewind video.
I don't really have any comments to make on that. I don't watch the YouTube rewind videos, so I don't care, really.
Right? And
that's my last question.
And that, people seem to really enjoy that. But I think that might be like an edge case. And most people, it's unclear what they're saying with the whether the dislike video really means they really disliked or did they have some kind of ulterior motive. So you know, we'll look at that and understand it. Probably like what you would hear first are what experiments are we running, and similar to what you saw with other platforms, like we might do it in a country or and see like, well, what happens? What do the creators say? Like, are all the creators really upset? Are they all angry, saying like, I'm not getting good feedback? Are they saying, no, I'm really happier?
So you take the likes away as well?
I haven't we haven't defined the experiments, but we could run multiple experiments. We could run an experiment where we take away the dislikes, where we take away the likes and the dislikes, where we show it in the interface to the creator but not to the public, where we don't even show it to the, like maybe we don't even show the creator the dislikes. I mean, there are lots of, like, we don't have a dislike button. There are many permutations that we could run, and we would like to see, I would want to spend some time understanding what experiments we want to run, and then like hear from the people in that country, like what was good and what was bad about it.
I wonder how well the partial hiding of subscriber numbers is going for other creators. I know a lot of people were quite annoyed when YouTube chose to partially obscure the numbers so that it was rounded down to a decimal point rather than showing actual real-time subscriber counts by the exact subscriber number.
I think the like button's only a positive feature.
Then what brought on all this idiocy about getting rid of it then?
But I do think that, especially with like Instagram, the amount of like mental health that one metric carries for young, specifically young people, is outweighs the positive. And I definitely think removing that will be super interesting to see the effect that it has. I actually got asked quite a lot by friends that make videos, do YouTube do anything, or are they looking to do anything proactively to help creators who are suffering from mental health at all? Is there any kind of organization or anything that YouTube could fund or run or help fund?
Whilst I appreciate your thoughts there, I don't really see how it's YouTube's place to put things like that in effect. There are any number of charities throughout the world who could help with such a thing. The one that springs to mind in the UK is the Samaritans, who are always there to lend an ear to someone who needs an ear.
That would help creators who are finding it difficult being online.
Well, overall, mental health for all is like a big topic on YouTube, right? So we have many creators that address this issue overall, and it's a topic that we have a lot of creators who talk about it openly, talk about their own mental health challenges, and I think it's really important, right, to be aware of that and to be sensitive to those issues and be open about it so we can find solutions to solve it. With YouTube and creators specifically, a lot of times there's this issue around creator burnout, and creators feeling the need to keep uploading, and they get in a cycle where they don't feel like they can always stop, and they worry if they do stop, will they lose their fans, and what will happen. We do have a Creator Academy video on creator burnout to address it.
I do think in such situations, common sense has to prevail. If YouTube is making you ill, if you are suffering from mental health issues because of YouTube, if YouTube is perhaps even extremely adversely affecting your mental health, then I would say the immediate thing would be to stop uploading, because it would almost appear to be like an allergy. So the best thing to get better would be to remove that thing from your life, even if just temporarily. There's nothing wrong with taking a break, taking a week off, I took a year off because I had hit a brick wall ideas-wise, so I took a year off, and then I recently came back when I saw some topics that were starting to interest me. But then my channel is based more on news and trends, so I am afforded that luxury. But if you need a break from YouTube, take a break from YouTube. It's not that hard. And keep in mind that you have videos there, so it's not like you constantly have to push stuff out. You already have stuff that people will watch, that will accumulate watch time whilst you're away.
We have talked about it at some of the different creator events that we've had, where we've brought in different experts and different events to be able to address it. You know, I think one of the questions I got even just on this tour that I think would be interesting, which I'd like us to do more, is be more analytical about the impact of upload with fans. So like if I want creators to be able, I want to be able to tell creators, like, if you do take a break or if you change your upload, this is what we've seen across our platform with regard to impact on your channel, impact on viewability, subscribers, etc. And again, it's not necessarily what we're going to change or do, it's just how does our system currently work? Yeah. And so creators have more information on that. And so we do think it's a really important issue, and you know, it'd be great for us to continue to work. And I mean, if you have any specific suggestions, I'd be open to those.
Again, it comes back to YouTube wants to keep all of its information secret. You know, the demonetized words, what has YouTube seen its platform doing when people takes a break. It's, you guys need to start telling us these things. Start adding them to your Creator Insider videos, where they get put inside the YouTubers' analytics, where the people can see them, and then we'd actually know what might happen, what's maybe going to go on. Again, I would state common sense is health comes first, but YouTube telling us this information would also be handy and could go some way towards alleviating stress of creator.
Are there specific things you think we should be doing to address creator burnout that we are not doing?
In terms of creator burnout, I definitely think like some stats around having a break would be really beneficial. I have a lot of friends that have just made continuous, some people even like 6 videos a day for like 8 years. Like, I don't know what would happen if I stopped. I just can't. One of my friends described it, and I'd never forget this, daily vlogging as like, you're in like a old-fashioned train and you're just shoveling the coal.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I stop shoveling, I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know how long I'm going to carry on going for. I've just got to get the daily upload going, and that's it. And it's just like in some system that runs. Whereas if you look at more traditional versions of similar-ish jobs of musicians, they do an album, they have a break. They do a tour, they have a break. I don't know what would happen to PewDiePie's channel if he took 6 months off. But neither does he, and maybe that's too scary to do. So, but maybe the answer is you do the data and you're like, no, you can have 3 months off and it doesn't affect it at all. And then everyone starts having breaks.
I think first of all, we want to do more data analysis. I think that's the first thing. And like some creators have suggested to me something where you could say, hey, I'm on a break, like pause. Like, can I just pause my account, right? And say, like, pause, I'm on a break, freeze everything, I'll be back. So I don't know what that really means. Like, and could that really happen? And what would that mean for, I mean, users are coming every day looking for content, right? So, but again, I'm really open to those ideas. And the first step is to really try to give creators more data about what we are currently seeing. And so we actually already have some research on this that our Creator Insider channel did a video on, where they dispel some of the myths. But again, I think it's a good area for us to look into and publish more data for creators so they really understand if they take a break, the impact for their channel. But I recommend to look at that Creator Insider video that has that initial research and that does dispel some of the myths around taking a break.
Okay, last question I've got. What are the plans this year for Rewind?
Meh. I don't care.
Okay, so Rewind became the most disliked video ever. We definitely are aware of that. We definitely realized we did not get it right. Really sorry. I know it's a highly anticipated moment. So I will tell you, we have not finalized plans yet for Rewind. The recommendation of the team, which I think is consistent with my recommendation of what we should do, is to go back to our Rewind roots. Okay, so Rewind started as just a review of what some of the top moments of the year were on YouTube.
Well, that sounds all right as a form of mission statement, I guess.
And I'd like us to do that and just be true to whatever the data says, like whether they were good moments or bad moments, like just say, look, these were the biggest moments.
Okay.
That's where I think we're headed, is to just go back to initial rewind roots and to do that on a factual basis. But still, stay tuned. We'll update you more as we know more. But we know that video did not work. We got the message every way possible. I heard that too at home.
From your kids?
Cringy. That's what they said. Cringy. The video was cringy. So,
did they dislike it?
Yeah,
your children?
probably.
That must be pretty rough, having your kids dislike a video that your company made. Lol.
Probably they disliked it, and so look, we make mistakes. We said this was the most disliked video, and we even put out playlists of people dissing our video. And
brilliant. That is absolute sporting behavior from YouTube there. I love it.
And I mean, we just accepted it, and we're learning and moving on.
Okay, is there anything else any other questions that you would like to cover? Anything that you want to put out that you feel either isn't already out there or maybe people aren't aware of but is out there but you want to emphasize on?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for taking time. And my goal really is to explain what's happening at YouTube. Like, that there are real people behind YouTube, and we really care about our creators, and we really care about doing the right thing. And I know it doesn't always seem that way, and sometimes there's confusion about what's happening, but we are working really hard to explain and to do the right thing. And I want to thank all the creators who are building a business on YouTube and creating these next generation companies, and we're incredibly proud of the work that you and so many creators have done. So thank you for taking the time today, and I'll do more creator interviews going forward. But thank you.
No, thank you for on your family holiday as well, and stopping by the space and just building a platform that I've wanted to be part of for 10 years and still want to be part of.
I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to the next 10 years. And actually, so how do you think your channel will evolve?
I don't know. I think probably more longer form content. I feel that YouTube in general, as the audience has grown bigger and bigger, it's more of a scary place to put as much of your life out. Like, I filmed every day for 4.5 years and put it up the next day. So like strict daily vlogging for 4.5 years.
Yeah, like, absolutely sack that, mate. I mean, well done. You've done something that I would never even think about doing. I could never do daily vlogging thing. Vlogging's just not for me. I wouldn't want to record myself out in public.
And it's so vast now, and just everybody uses it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be doing that. And also, at what point do I stop? So I stopped about a year ago now, and I've just been focusing on maybe like 2 or 3 videos a week that are some around my life and some longer form. But I think definitely the longer form videos going forward will be more my thing. But then saying that, people have watched me and my life. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. I don't think I'd film my children. Definitely put that there. I wouldn't film my kids.
It'll be really interesting to see how it evolves, right? We have a lot of YouTubers, and people change over the course of their life, and like their channels. I expect their channels to change too. So, well, anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing how your channel evolves and grows. And best of luck to you. And thank you so much Thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it.
An hour of Susan's time, that's what was dedicated originally. I hope that I answered the majority, if not all, of the questions that you wanted me to ask. I did as much digging as possible to get the correct answers. I thought Susan answered everything super authentically.
Again, I'll just state that I feel that you could have gathered more questions. You could have been more prepared in the way of publicizing this video, letting people know that you were going to sit down and interview the CEO of YouTube. It's a video that should be seen by more people. If there are 20 million creators on the platform and this interview with the boss has only been seen 300,000 times, that's not that much.
Super real, super honest. If she didn't have an answer to a question that I asked, she legit said, I wish I knew the answer. Like, I don't know how she could have been more honest and more real. And I hope watching as a creator or a viewer, you super appreciate that, because having the CEO of a company at that scale given me the opportunity to sit down and ask anything I want with no limits, with no editing approval, no limiting the questions beforehand, is a bloody rare thing. So Susan, super appreciate it, and I know that whether you think it or not about everything, they do have our interests at heart. I do genuinely believe that after meeting Susan today for the second or third time I've met her, but properly getting to sit down and chat and film everything. I have big faith for YouTube. Appreciate it for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for making this video, Alfie, and thank you for uploading it to your channel. The main thing that I hope for from YouTube is transparency in future. They need to share more information with their creators, whether it's through more interviews like this, where they openly talk to people who ask them questions, or whether it's through just reports being published through the dashboard. The fact is, the creators on this platform need more information from them regarding things.
I think I'm just going to leave it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found that insightful and informative. That has been Alfie Deyes and Susan Wojcicki, and I've been StooDogg, and I'll catch you later. See ya.